Welcome to Shatter Our Souls Novaria. Today we are tackling the Mushroom Cup 50cc itemless on Mario Kart Double Dash. Now, I realize that we're doing things a little bit out of order. We've already done the Flower Cup, we have already done the Banana Cup, but Mushroom Cup at the moment is next. You cannot proceed with the current Nitro Cups without completing the 50cc Mushroom Cup, and we can't continue the lovely Retro Cups without also finishing off the 50cc, I believe it's the Shell Cup. Regardless, we have 4 cups to go, or 4 cups before we can really dive into what I would consider the harder end of this game. No big deal. What we do get for tracks in the Mushroom Cup are what I personally would consider iconic. Now, when we look at the Mushroom Cup in Mario Kart Wii, you have Luigi Circuit. You have the fantastic Mushroom Gorge, Moo Moo Meadows, and of course, Toad's Factory. Of these courses, the only one that did not get some form of a revival in Mario Kart 8 was Toad's Factory, which I think speaks to the quality of the courses as a whole. And ironically, the one I wanted most was Toad's Factory, but I digress. Here we are. The reason I want to bring this up is because Mario Kart Double Dash and Wii are what I would personally consider to be the staples of retro Mario Kart. We're not talking the big names now like Mario Kart 8 or Mario Kart World. These ones were very selective, but also very in tune with what they were expecting the player to complete. And I think that's a really good statement to make, just as a general overall statement. Mario Kart has always been very good about making sure that their tracks are functional, are reasonable for any player to get off behind the wheel and play, but are still got enough wacky zaniness in it that you can guarantee that most players will say, yeah, that's pretty cool, and move on. Moo Moo Meadows, for example, is a fairly standard outdoors style track with a couple of cows roaming around, a couple of Monty moles, a couple of jumps, and it's not doing anything necessarily revolutionary, but by adding in these little bits and pieces here and there, it really showcases that the developers were paying attention to what it was that they wanted the players to be able to experience. A little bit of off-road racing with a monkey in the middle of a pasture. I see nothing wrong with that. And reality is that Mario Kart does this type of gameplay a lot. You look at Moo Moo Meadows, you have that. You have, of course, then our next track, which is the Mushroom Gorge. We can also take this and look at DK's Jungle Parkway. You can take it at DK Mountain. And while sure, those aren't necessarily barn-based, they are off-road dirt tracks that really meld the idea of what a Mario track could be with what we as players would see as unconventional racing. And I really love that aspect of the game. Unconventional is the name of the game. If you end up playing every average a racing game that is as conventional as can be, well, you're playing NASCAR. And while NASCAR is a sport that is heavily beloved by many, I personally don't see the appeal and look more towards wacky, zany, video game style racing over realistic racing, just on the basis of the wacky, zany one is the one that I find engaging. 2 races down, 2 to go. Welcome to Mushroom Gorge. That was perfect. Anyways, Mushroom Gorge is the track of the Mushroom Cup that really ends up being the one I personally would say defines it. While Moo Moo Meadows and Luigi Circuit were they were there. They existed. They're more tutorial tracks, if you will. One teaching the ins and outs of what the different speed boost panels and item boxes could potentially offer. The next offering off-road and some basic challenges in the form of, in the form of cows and whatnot. Mushroom Gorge takes everything from the first two tracks and throws it out the window. You have large sections of the track where there is no track, where you are jumping from mushroom to mushroom because why not? Finally, it's not me getting blued. Sorry, Bowser, that's just how it rumbles. What I like about this track as a general statement is that this track ends up having what I would consider to be three major segments, if you will. Part one is, of course, the opening to this singular mushroom to showcase the idea of the transportation system of this track. You get the triples, where it shows you that green mushrooms don't bounce you like red mushrooms. You get into the cave, you see a few crystals, you're in that transition area, and you see this major, I suppose, change. You have to decide left or right, high or low. If you go high, you might not need to take as many jumps. You go low, you'll take more jumps but are also guaranteed more boosts. The choice is yours. And I like that they incorporated that kind of different way of going about it, because every player is going to have a slightly different approach to how they want to view this track. Every player is going to have a slightly different way to go about it. And that's great, because every track should have something that entices players in different ways. Maybe they're falling behind, they need a double item box to go the wide route instead of the mushroom route. Wait, there's no double items in this one, never mind. But point being, maybe they don't feel comfortable with the mushroom jumps in the middle. Cool, let's go for the wide route, take the speed boosts instead. Mushroom Gorge showcases that there is more than one way to Mario Kart. Finding shortcuts in different ways around the track is going to be your bread and butter. And with 3 tracks down, we have one more. Toad's Factory. And assuming that I'm not forgetting one of the bonus tracks for the DLC of Mario Kart 8, Toad's Factory has only made one occur, or one view, shall we say, being Mario Kart Double Dash. Not Double Dash, Mario Kart Wii. Forgive me, I'm apparently a little tired this morning. But Mario Kart Wii's Toad's Factory ends up being that track that really has a lot of chaos within it. And this is absolutely perfect. It showcases a new type of obstacle, that being moving floor. It also introduces, shall we say, the boxes. Boxes or interactable objects that may or may not drop special items like mushrooms, bananas, even stars on the rare occasion. The goal is that this series of 4 tracks is supposed to revolutionize and showcase exactly what Mario Kart Wii was aiming for. It's a little chaotic, it's a little weird, it's a little wacky, it's a little zany. But every single one of these tracks is meant to do more than what came before. I won't wax poetic here. Mario Kart Wii, being the 6th game in the franchise, had some big shoes to fill. Because when you look at the 2D games, you had the original, you had the Game Boy, and then you hit 3D, which had 64, which was fairly reasonably, wasn't all 3D, but it was mostly 3D. You had Mario Kart 64. We had Mario Kart Double Dash, and at this point, Mario Kart DS. And that's a huge amount of games and quality to follow up on. So it's no wonder that they approached the game with this level of, well, what next? How can we up the ante? And I think with the Nitro Cup specifically, Mario Kart Wii absolutely nailed it. You have some fantastic, well-received courses like Coconut Mall, you have DK Summit, you have courses like Rumble Volcano, Maple Treeway, you have the iconic Bowser's Castle of this game. Every single one of these courses is what I would label as some of the best in the franchise. Unfortunately, I also have bad news in the form of the Retro Cups. While the Nitro Cups are fantastic, the Retro Cups often felt lacking. Like there was something more that could have been done with them, but they just didn't necessarily have the means or the know-how to really reset the older tracks to allow for the quality that we expect from Mario Kart Wii's Nitro Cups. Anyway, with that, we have finished the 50cc Mushy Cup at 60 points, meaning a perfect score. Next time, we're continuing with either the Star Cup or the Shell Cup. If you like what you see, drop a like, leave a subscribe. We'll catch you next time. Until then, have a good one.